Here we go. Okay, perfect. Well, Ty, thank you for joining me. Could you start by introducing yourself, please, and your company?
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Ty McKinney. I'm one of the co-founders of Apid Cortex, and I'm created Apid Cortex as a way to try to commercialize and develop an app around some of my PhD research on how to gamify mental wellness tracking. And then my research is looking into how we can use time series data to get a better understanding of where people's mental health and wellness is at. And right now, the app is trying to make that process easier, more enjoyable for people to engage with. And then we'll be developing burnout prediction algorithms with the data that we collect from it. And then the hope is to use that as a B2B service. That way we can improve people's health and well-being in the workplace, since that's one of the biggest contributors to stress right now.
Cool. Thank you for that. That was excellent. The first question that I want to ask, you've already kind of answered, so I'll ask it differently. It sounds like potentially the main problem in the world that you guys are looking to solve right now, would that be just like human stress levels?
I would say it's the complexity of just like the burden of mental health within society right now. Obviously, over the last year and a half, we've all had a lot of tumultuous changes happen, and this is really just magnifying all the pre-existing stress and challenges that we were already facing before COVID even began. So we're just trying to give people the tools in order to be more data-driven about how they go about trying to tackle that problem. Originally wanted to start off by going right as a medical device approach, but there's a lot of regulations surrounding that. So we're using the workplace wellness angle as a way to go to market faster. And then once we start to establish ourselves, get a bit more credibility, get some more data and time and resources, then we can kind of recertify more of the clinical angle subsequently.
Sorry, say the last part again.
Once we kind of brought ourselves to market and we've demonstrated our technology is useful for individual people, then we'll be in a much better position to do all the certifications with the FDA, Health Canada, what have you, in order to get certified as a medical device. And then we can properly help people out clinically. Whereas right now, technically, we're just a wellness app because it's a more unregulated space. So we're able to iterate a lot more quickly and be able to be more flexible in how we want to approach helping people.
I see. Yeah, that sounds super smart. So you've chosen this route as a sort of necessary step to play within the game and the rules that exist in order to get where your ultimate end goal is, your vision, which is that clinical level medical device.
Yeah. Originally, like our app was conceived as a way for therapists to be able to keep tabs on their clients, or for doctors to be able to like keep tabs on their patients, kind of between sessions, just be more informed about how they're doing in their day-to-day life. But until we get to that stage in the interim, it can still be useful for individual people to know how they're doing, and for their managers or their bosses to have a sense of how at the team level, how their workforce is doing. So that way the company can do a little bit of restructuring, reorganize, change some policy, what have you, in order to be a little more accommodating for people that have mental health challenges in the interim.
Okay, very cool. So let me ask you this. What have you found to be measurable? How do you measure mental health? How are you guys choosing to measure mental health within the confines of what you do, what your app does?
Yeah, so this is actually where my PhD research comes into play. So we're taking what's called a time series approach. So most assessments right now, clinically, that's what I've got training in. It looks at kind of a single time point. So we do a really in-depth assessment. We get you to do a bunch of questionnaires. We get you to do a bunch of cognitive tests, kind of like thinking and reasoning style tests. We'd interview people. And that would kind of give you a very comprehensive snapshot of where people are at. Whereas our app is taking a different approach. We're saying, instead, let's just measure you for 10 minutes once a day over a 2-week period. And then looking across those individual data points, we can actually get a much more comprehensive sense of how you're doing in your actual daily life, as opposed to in a laboratory clinical setting where it's kind of removed from how you actually interact with the world.
And so what are you measuring once a day in their normal life?
So we got a few different things. So the first is just ratings of individual emotions, as well as what we're calling lifestyle factors. So, for example, rating how stressed you feel. Do you feel focused? Are you experiencing any gratitude? Did you do any mindfulness recently? Did you work out? Did you go into green space? Did you use technology? All those kinds of stuff. Those things can give us a little piece of the puzzle. Then, really, what one of our key innovations is we have a gamified cognitive task where basically you're trying to avoid obstacles and it's logging your reaction time. And we can make inferences about your attention capacity in the moment based on your performance. So then those different pieces of data all get compiled within an algorithm. And that's where we're able to start making some of the true value from.
And then that algorithm is returning like recommendations to the individual, or just like a report of, based on your answers, here's kind of where you are, and are you providing like recommendations or insights? Like I guess not. There's a difference between insights and actual recommendations, right? So to what degree do you go about telling people what to do, so to speak?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both, and we're trying to build it up ongoing. So right now, for all of our static kind of single time point measures like personality, those sorts of things, we're able to give people personalized feedback based on their scores. So it's like, hey, like these are the ways in which your personality profile suggests that you're at risk for burnout. Here's a couple things to consider for how you could perhaps challenge yourself or restructure things that might be beneficial. As far as the time series stuff goes, right now that's just kind of giving people like a number of kind of where they're at, and it's kind of devoid of that context. So the next step for us is to be using the same approach where, based on your numbers, here's a set of individual exercises or suggestions or wellness tips, kind of based on where your unique data is at. So if we were to have this conversation in a few more months, we'd be in a different place of having all people's data is paired with some sort of insight and exercise.
Very cool. What would you say is like the main challenge that y'all have as a business right now that if solved, whether, somebody or people in this community in the Impact Alliance can kind of, provide insights, a conversation or whatever, or that we can provide some sort of, like, what are you stuck on, or what are you currently focused on that is your current challenge?
I guess so. There's two interrelated things. It's like we need more people using our technology in order to get the validation that it does work. So this can come in two different flavors. One is people taking a look at our app and playing the games and trying to use it for a couple weeks. Taking those personality surveys and just giving us feedback like, was it useful? Did you find it engaging? Those sorts of things. Kind of like UX development sort of stuff. And then the other end of it is, until our technology is fully ready to go, we're offering educational workshops on burnout management that use our app as an interactive learning tool. So when we do have events, if they're sponsored by a third party, just having people attend those events in order to, again, get a validation that our educational approach is providing value. Or if there is any individual companies or organizations that you'd be interested in having their own private workshops, that's something else that we sell as a service. And then we've got some consulting that could go along with that. So kind of both the end users for using our app to participating in our free community events, or if the organizations are interested in purchasing our services, so that, again, we can continue to get that validation, that market validation, that scientific validation.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear. Like you are in that validation phase where there's nothing sort of more valuable, or there's nothing stopping you except just getting more data, more people to go through the process and to give their feedback to sort of hone the product itself and make sure that you have something accurate and effective and useful worth scaling.
Exactly, 100%. And while it's in the early stages right now, it's a lot easier to iterate. And if we do get feedback that things could be done a little bit differently, to make those changes now. So that way, when we are ready to scale, we're scaling something that, as you said, has value and people enjoy using.
What would you say is like the ideal user, or the yeah, like the user profile that you would love to see 20 of these people sign up for the app tomorrow? Like what do these people have in common, and sort of what's in it for them? Obviously, like, we should all desire to be more mentally healthy, to be happier, to be more at peace. So those are the benefits. But yeah, how do you think about user profile and communicating the benefits to them to make them want to take that 5 minutes out of their day?
Yeah, so I would say it's at this point mostly kind of like young urban professionals. So people kind of like ourselves, where we're aware that mental health is an important thing. We believe that we should be doing something more active, but we might just be unsure on how to go about doing that. And maybe therapy is something we haven't done, or we don't think it's necessary, or there's barriers in some reason, financial access otherwise to those services. Um,
Mm-hmm.
those are the people that we really want to be serving, because we believe we have a relatively fun, engaging, and hopefully scalable and valuable way to give those people the insights to be scientists with their own mental wellness. So to collect some of their own personal data and be like, oh, maybe working out actually does benefit my anxiety. Let's track each of that for a couple of weeks and see, is that actually the case.
Yeah, well, and I'm fascinated to see where you go with this, because I like identifying trends based on patterns in people, right? Like this type of person, based on our research, based on our data, this type of person experiences strong reductions in anxiety when they do XYZ types of things. We're not telling you to do those things. We're just saying that's what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's game changing. Like to sort of like categorize these things and to give people, if you do what X thousand other people like you have done, then you should probably experience far less anxiety, or you may feel more at peace. You may feel more joyful. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. No, 100%. You hit it on the head there. It's like we really want to be providing a personalized approach. From my own little bit of clinical training and experience in doing assessments, there's no one size fits all approach. So that's what we have right now. Personality tests that people can do, so we can get a sense of what their personality profile is. And then that's based on the science, one of the best ways to be like, okay, this is what people like you tend to benefit from, as opposed to people that have a different profile, a different set of exercises, or a different strategy might be more effective. So again, trying to really give people a personalized approach to their mental health and wellness.
Yeah, I love it, Ty. So, where can people download the app? I'll put it in the show notes as well.
So you can go to 8bitcortex.app. That's where we currently got our MVP that's available for beta testing. I could also give you my link tree as well, and that'll give a list of any upcoming events that we have going on. We keep that link fairly active with any ongoing things. And we're also right now doing a survey in order to measure the cost of burnout, to get a sense of what this is costing for individual companies and firms, both financially as well as potential quality of life terms as well. So all those are linked in our link tree. So I'll give you that link afterwards. And all of that will help us be able to approach this in a much more strategic, data-driven fashion.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to sharing this with the Impact Alliance community, and hopefully having some young urban professionals like ourselves give it a shot. I know I will. I'll download it and I'll use it for a couple of weeks and be a part of that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to interview me. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And again, I'm grateful that you're willing to help us get our technology out into the community and, again, try to validate the benefit that we're hoping to give.